Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Our News, 2 cruise ship passengers test positive for COVID-19. Government allocates $3 million to fund Lucayan Holdings Limited for 3 more months. Plus, a happy ending for one Dorian survivor. Welcome to Our News, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines confirming that 2 passengers on board Adventure of the Seas tested positive for COVID-19 and disembarked in Grand Bahama today before returning to Florida. This comes as the tourism minister defends the protocols in place to avoid the potential spread of the virus.
Let me assure you that there have been endless discussions about what if someone becomes positive.
According to Royal Caribbean officials, the 2 passengers took a flight back to Florida after disembarking the ship in Freeport. It came after a CNBC article yesterday reported that 2 passengers, both unvaccinated as they are under the age of 16, tested positive for COVID-19 while on board the Adventure of the Seas, which now uses Nassau Harbor as a home port. An RCL rep says those 2 passengers were immediately quarantined, with only one showing mild symptoms. Other passengers in close contact with the minors tested negative and are all fully vaccinated. But the issue raises concerns about protocol for those who test positive while on board the cruise ship, as it heads back to the Bahamas for passengers to disembark.
So those matters have been exhaustively discussed, and a protocol has been set up. And in that particular instance, that protocol would have been followed. Those persons would have been disembarked, and their families, they would have been taken to an airport, they would have been put on a private plane, and they would have been sent back to the United States.
Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar stressing that there are strict protocols in place. He says, as harsh as it sounds, hundreds of passengers are flying in and out of Nassau weekly just to board and disembark cruise ships. So there will be positive cases.
So I just want everybody to be assured that there will be positive cases, obviously, but that matter has been very robustly discussed with our Ministry of Health officials, and protocols have been established to disembark them from the ship, get them out of country.
To board the ship, all adult passengers must be fully vaccinated. Last week, Lynden Pindling International Airport was packed with visitors, all due to home porting. Ziegler says the issue was an oversight by Bahamas Air with scheduling flights, but said he doesn't anticipate that being an issue this weekend.
They had a lot of flights scheduled to leave very close together, and so all of the persons showed up at the same time, and they were really taken off guard or blindsided by the number of persons that showed up. They should have known, they should have done better, and I've been assured by all the senior executives at Bahamas Air that that will not happen this weekend. So they have learned from that error, and they will correct that, and it should be smooth sailing tomorrow, this coming Saturday.
State Minister for Finance Kwesi Thompson revealing in the Senate last night that the government has only budgeted enough money to fund Lucayan Holdings Limited for a few months in the new fiscal year. Thompson said $3 million has been allocated to fund the government's special purpose vehicle to handle the sale of the Grand Lucayan Resort. It is expected to cover just 3 months of operational costs. Here's Jasmine Brown.
The state minister for finance addressed the issue as senators were pouring through the heads of the 2021-2022 fiscal budget in the Senate on Thursday night. It was this question from Progressive Liberal Party Senator Dr. Michael Darville that raised the issue about funding for Lucayan Holdings Limited.
There is a $3 million allocation there. And when you were on your feet, you spoke specifically about the hotel now moving in transition to the new owners. And so why do we need the $3 million? And is this $3 million for the payment of the existing employees, or is this $3 million for some sort of upgrade at the facility prior to its finalization of the sale?
Thompson responded by revealing the government decided to set aside $3 million in case the sale of the Grand Lucayan Hotel drags on for another 3 months.
This line item was put in place in order to pay for the operational costs. What we have planned for and allocated for is, if there is another 3 months that this proceeds, 3 or 4 months that this proceeds, that we have sufficient funding to assist with the operational costs. We are hoping that very shortly we are able to turn this over, and so we may not need the full $3 million, but we wanted to allocate it just in case.
But his response was evidently lacking for Darville, who continued to press him for answers about the millions still being spent on the hotel that the PLP has repeatedly called a bad deal.
So, Minister, in the event that it goes beyond 3 months, then you will have to find additional funding. So it's about $1 million a month to keep the facility up and going.
The government purchased the shuttered Grand Locayan in Freeport for $65 million in August 2018. In March 2020, the government signed a heads of agreement for the sale of the resort to Holistica, a joint company of Royal Caribbean International and the ITM Group, to redevelop the property and construct a new cruise port. Officials have blamed the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic for the sluggish process of the sale. Reporting for our News, of Jasmine Brown.
Cabbage Beach vendors have been granted access to the beach once again after they were locked out. Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar says while government remains in talks with Access Industries, the developer is set to build a $250 million condo hotel, vendors have been able to get back to work.
I mean, they're accessing the beach. I think the status quo has been reinstated, and we'll move forward from there.
Last week, vendors met a locked gate blocking their access to the beach entrance near the Riu Hotel and ended up opening the gate and storming in. De Aguilar initially said he planned to meet with Access Industries, but noted company officials met with the Attorney General instead.
I did reach out to them. They said that they were engaged with the Attorney General's office, and once those discussions had finished, then I would be updated. I think they had those discussions Thursday or Friday, and I haven't had a chance to catch up with the Attorney General, given the fact that he was in the Senate giving his budget contribution.
Well, 2 years after Hurricane Dorian hovered over Grand Bahama, resulting in death and destruction, some survivors are still living in tents. One Sweetings Key resident revealed how he often has to fight off rats at night. But that's about to change. Jillian Gray explains.
To wake up in the morning to see Sweetings Key with these eyes, my brother was in a good feelings. You thought you was in a different world. Trust me.
Would you stay here for next hurricane?
I don't think I'll do that.
Darren Cooper got emotional as he recounted the horrors of Dorian in 2019. He spent nearly 10 hours in a fig tree and described the experience as terrifying. Weeks into another hurricane season, he's praying that another storm doesn't come.
You know, rain, salt water.
Right.
Surge.
Yeah.
Dark. The current, hard, strong.
So no light,
no light. If you did see a light, you didn't want to see it.
Right.
Because that's how high the water. You know, in your life you never witnessed two water come together. And it was frightening, scary.
2 years post-Dorian, the native of Sweetings Key found himself living in a tent.
Basically, I was living with people. Sometimes go live Freeport, my family, and then Samaritan Price gave me this tent. I put this up here October in 2019, and in between, it would have been a home. I live here now, from then to now.
This cot is where he sleeps, surrounded by what little earthly possessions he has left.
See all them holes there? Man, the other night, me and a rat had a fight here for 3 hours. I trying to knock him and he trying to duck.
He cooks on an outside fire and has nowhere to store cold drinks. But things are now looking better for Cooper, who will be the recipient of a new 2-bedroom home thanks to Rotary Club of Grand Bahama. The club has built 9 homes in Phase 1 and repaired 15 in Phase 2 of its project. 8 more homes will soon be built.
A few months ago, I came to the Key and I thought that we had taken everyone out of tents. And then I realized that no, there are still people living in tents here on the Key. And so I asked to see the areas of where they're living. And then I met Sweetings Key Darren Cooper. He told me his story and how he survived. And I thought the best or the least we can do is to take Darren Cooper out of that tent and put him into a home.
A joint partnership with the Lyford Key Club Charitable Trust and the TK Foundation has helped to fund the next 8 homes for residents.
The view coming in by boat, seeing these colorful, beautiful island-style cottages is just tremendous. It's changing the face of Sweetings Key, and most important, it's given the people here hope. And we're so happy to have given the hope and given the ability for these people to get out of their tents and have dignity in their life. And so we're just very pleased. We want to say thank you, Lyford Key Club Charitable Trust. Thank you, TK Foundation, for giving us the ability and trusting us to build these homes.
Cooper thanked the Rotary Club for its help.
Looking all around me, didn't have this before. Now looking at these beautiful people who come here, who are doing all their best and most they could. I noticed some of them going out the way to help me and help others. And I'm grateful for all they do. And when they come here, they're reaching out to everybody and doing as much as they could. And I want to give God thanks. I'm grateful to all and each one of them for what they've done for me. I'm going to get a beautiful home.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
A sunny day in the capital, but what about the weekend? Meteorologist Greg Thompson has the first look.
Thanks, Kyle, and a happy Friday evening, everybody. In our first look at weather, we take a look at conditions outside our studios where it was a warm day. Temperatures in the low 90s. We're settling into the low 80s right now, 80 degrees outside our studios. Few clouds. It's still warm. That feels like temperature in the mid to upper 80s. And of course, those winds are out of the east, bringing in some of those warm temperatures. Quiet around the islands today, that easterly wind bringing much of the moisture across the northwest Bahamas well to the west of us across Florida. But we could see a couple isolated showers across the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come, the labor director says unemployment is down. This as a PLP senator calls him out for canvassing Fox Hilton. The details after this break.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Unemployment in the Bahamas has decreased, according to Acting Labor Director John Pinder, who said the percentage is below 20%. Pinder attributed the decrease to the gradual rebound of the economy and the creation of new businesses.
Once the economy started to open, it certainly provided more opportunities for businesses to expand their businesses, and of course some new business emerged as a result of the pandemic. Persons started to hire persons, and so I can safely say that unemployment rate has dropped in the teens now. It should be maybe high teens right now.
In November 2020, Pinder told the Nassau Guardian he believed unemployment stood around 40%. In April, he said the number had dropped to 20 to 23%. On Thursday, Labor Minister Dion Fowles told senators that 8,000 jobs will soon be added to the New Providence job market. Well, PLP Senator Fred Mitchell is slamming Acting Labor Director John Pinder over his recent admission that he is canvassing the Fox Hill constituency as a possible F&M candidate in the next general election.
The Director of Labor is a senior officer who is, according to the rules, restricted in his political activity. That's what it says. And then he admits it publicly. There is a video, there's an interview admitting it publicly. You see, you may see all kinds of things. We know how these things sometimes operate, but you can't publicly go in someone's face and say, yeah, I'm doing it. What you gonna do about it? The Director of Labor, he didn't say those words, but in effect, that's what it is.
Pinder told Our News this week that if he is ratified by the F&M, he is confident the party will hold on to the Fox Hill seat. F&M Senator Carl Bethel responded to Mitchell's comments on the matter.
I know that you, my friend, have a particular focus on Fox Hill. But I think there are at least 3 public servants that your party has nominated who are still working in the public service. 3 public servants. And they are walking around their hoped-for constituencies wearing your campaign colors.
However, Mitchell insisted that Pinder is out of order.
We all want an honest competition. He shouldn't be doing it. You know, and I know him as well as you do. It just is not right.
Still to come, an F&M MP questions if the state of emergency will really end in August. Stay tuned.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is Our News. Welcome back. The suggestion that the state of emergency could end in 2 months being met with skepticism by one FNM MP. Bertha McDermott reports.
Unfazed by reports that government could end the state of emergency in August, FNM Member of Parliament Frederick McAlpine said he'll believe it when he sees it.
I hear what the Attorney General is saying about not having to renew the order, but I'd rather see it. Unfortunately, the government has made a lot of promises. They said a lot of things.
On Tuesday, Attorney General Carl Bethel said government is seeking to end the state of emergency in August when the current one expires. However, he noted the decision depends on if Bahamians behave.
Again, why are you going to deal with the emergency orders and removing it in a time when you tell me we're at a height of a third wave?
While there has been a decrease in reported COVID-19 infections in recent weeks, officials say deaths and hospitalizations remain a concern. The Bahamas has been under a state of emergency since March 2020. McAlpine again expressed his displeasure with the wide-ranging powers the Prime Minister has as the competent authority.
If he's moving it to replace it with something else where we have a grouping as opposed to one individual, that would be much appreciated by the Bahamian society. But decisions should not be made by one individual, kind of from a dictatorial perspective. It should include more than the Prime Minister himself making decisions with regards to the state of emergency.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
13 residents get a second chance at a high school diploma. That's coming up when Our News returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to Our News. As we wind down, Greg is back in studio with our extended weather forecast.
Thanks again, Kyle, and welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather. We had one word to describe the weather around the Bahamas today. That was hot. Temperatures in the low 90s, but those feels-like temperature in the triple digits. High pressure remains in charge of our weather. Upper level trough across South Florida is actually enhancing some showers and thunderstorms across the northwest Bahamas, but most of the moisture is to the west of us. We will continue to see 1 or 2 showers across the northwest Bahamas into the weekend. A jet stream across the Caribbean, bringing some enhancement for some showers across the southeast Bahamas. That jet stream also is responsible for destroying what was left of that tropical wave that moved west of the Windward Islands. We will continue to watch a strong one now off of Africa, moving towards the west. National Hurricane Center giving that about a 20% chance for formation over the next couple of days. Boating forecast for the northwest, central, and southeast Bahamas. Your winds will be east to southeast at 15 knots. Slightly choppy seas out there, 3 to 5 feet. So we'll ask you boaters to use some caution. High tide will be at 9:21 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Wednesday. Showers and thunderstorms returning to our forecast early next week. Make it a safe weekend, everybody. Back to you, Kyle.
Well, 13 students who got a second chance to achieve higher learning graduated from the Pine Ridge Educational Center on Thursday. Pine Ridge MP Frederick McAlpine says the initiative was launched in 2018 to assist constituents who didn't get a high school diploma. Well, Valdez Abraham said this experience meant a lot to him as family members had lost faith in him.
I came from the past, from down below and rise up. So it only could have been God that guided me to made it so far. You know, I mean, I had a lot of people, a lot of even family members who didn't even have much faith in me. Didn't even, you know, But I appreciate everything that happens from before, now, and then, because no matter what, I will, I am, and I will become the greatest person you met in a good way.
Dean of Students and Assistant Professor at the University of the Bahamas, Dr. Theo Cooper, told graduates that sticking with the program shows their level of commitment.
These young people have had to come through a system that in many respects I've equated to 40% about teaching and learning and 60% about survival. Can you survive? High schools of today and junior schools of today and even primary schools of today is no joke, right? It's about survival. Can you survive a system that is in many respects designed for you to fail?
McAlpine said it's a pleasure to see how lives are being transformed because of the program.
It is our hope and prayer and expectation that others will pursue. A matter of fact, some students have already inquired about trying to get in to the University of the Bahamas. So that's very important. And also, hearing from our speaker today, Dr. Cooper, he has been a blessing and an inspiration. And we hope that our students and graduates will take the nuggets and the impartation that he gave to us.
Well, thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kyle Joaquin. We now throw it back to Marcellus Hall and the Rev Swimming Nationals, where the second day of fierce competition is underway. Have a good evening, Bahamas.